everybody, I'm Tom Vasel. Welcome back to the Dice Tower. I'm doing a little bit of a series here where I'm going through Kickstarters that I backed and kind of looking at them, seeing if I've got them yet, if I have got them, what I think about them. So I'm taking a look at 15 at a given moment. Now realize there's all kinds of reasons I may or may not back Kickstarters. The number one reason is to see if the games are worth putting in the Dice Tower library. Sometimes it's for review purposes, whatever it might be. But I think it's good to take a look back at these games and see what we think about them. Realizing I'm recording this a month before you're seeing it, so keep that in mind as my opinions on these games, or I might have gotten a game by then, by the time you're watching this. But either way, this is what I'm thinking about these games right now. So let's take a look here. The first one we're going to take a look at here is Super Fantasy Brawl. Now, Super Fantasy Brawl from Mythic Games. I have found that I'm not the biggest of Mythic fans. With their games seem to be more heavy on miniatures and light on rules. But I was really pumped about this one in particular. The idea of having a bunch of fantasy characters fighting each other in an arena, I really like that. There were some problems with this game, though. It's a gigantic game that's pretty small. I mean, if you look here, it's 30 to 40 minutes here, and this is not an inexpensive game to get. The miniatures are really cool. There's no denying that. The deluxe version of the game is actually not as good, I think, as the regular version. These plastic tokens that they replaced the other tokens will only look good if they're painted. If they're not painted, they just kind of look like cheap plastic. These big statues are cool, but my word, they are incredibly overproduced. And the game trays are kind of weird because you have this big box, and they make the game trays for the different factions or the different groups, and then you have an expansion box where the game tray is a different size. It was an odd choice. The game itself is fine. I didn't dislike it, but I also didn't find it to be that exciting. You have three heroes, you're shuffling their cards together to make a deck. You then use that deck to fight the other person, which is mostly fighting them occasionally and standing near pillars for area control purposes. I think they made a season 2 of this, or they're about to make a season 2. I know a lot of people have enjoyed this, so definitely I'm probably in the minority there. This one just wasn't as exciting for me as I had hoped. The theming and the idea, and these are great looking. You can see these painted miniatures look great, and mine look great too because we got them painted. But I just don't know how often I'm going to play this. The Isle of Cats, on the other hand, this is one I was assuming I would like, and I didn't know this. The first game from this company, the City of Kings, I was not a huge fan of, but Isle of Cats brought me around on their games. I really like this one. Since this has come out, also I've gotten the expansion for it, but this is a polyomino game about putting these very, very colorful cats on your ship, but you are drafting to get the cats. You are drafting to get point cards. In fact, this game has almost like it's half Bunny Kingdoms and then half a polyomino game. It's one of the best polyomino games that's out there. I just like it, and it also has done very well. I believe he released his numbers for his games just a few months ago, and this was their best-selling game, which makes sense. I mean, people like cats, and even if you're not a big fan of cats, these are cool-looking cats with weird colors and treasure tiles, and you're filling up a boat. And these custom meeples looked really cool. And then there's these Oshak's weird creatures, and the expansion has even more weird creatures. Yeah, this one is a really good game. Democr, the limited edition. Now this game, which has the distinction of being the #1 game ever added to Board Game Geek database, mostly because it was just the first one added. But this is about German elections, and oh, there it says it right there. I just gave their ad for them. Although, I don't know, this is not like something to brag about. It just happened to be the first one typed in. But anyway, Democr is a game that's been out for a long time. It is a fairly hefty game. It took 4 hours to play in the original one, as you are trying to control different issues or shift the issues of your party to get points in different elections, sometimes working with other people. There's a lot of things going on. I got this version. It's nice. It's in the Dice Tower library, but I've not played the new version. I've heard that it streamlines a few things and it's slightly shorter, and that's about it that I've heard about it. This is a game that, that cover is not going to get people to play the game today who've not played it before. It does well. It's nice. I'm glad I have it, but I don't know when I'll get it to the table myself. Pangea. So this game here, a strategic board game set in times of the Great Dying. This is kind of like an area control game where you are controlling one of 4 different factions. Let's see if they list them here because I forget the names of them. The Synapsids, the Saros, okay, I'm going to say what I'm going to say. The mammals, the reptiles, amphibians, and invertebrates. This sounds awesome. And I'll tell you what, it had some really nice miniatures that came with it. But I gotta be honest, it was not a very interesting game. The idea of moving around the board and there's gonna be a complete destruction of something. It might be the top half, the bottom half, a line up the middle. That's all good, but it was not a particularly good rule book. It definitely does not feel like the factions are balanced. They might be balanced. It doesn't feel like that. There's a lot of cards and cool things going on, but it doesn't feel like you're doing a lot over the course of the game. I don't believe this one did particularly well once it was in post-Kickstarter. I don't know anyone who's really talking about it at this point in time. It looks pretty, but that's about that. On the Underground. So this is On the Underground London, Berlin. This was a reprint of On the Underground here from Ludi Creations. The game originally came out very, very low production. But I liked the game. I thought the game was fantastic. It is a great, especially with fewer players, like 2 or 3 I really like it with. And this added an extra map. And you have this one passenger that you're moving around through London or Berlin, trying to get them to different stops using your subway lines. And I played this one a couple times this year already, which is pretty impressive. I don't get to play games all the time. I like these little destination tokens. They're really pretty. Yeah, this one is a cool one, and they think they've kickstarted the sequel to it, the next 2 cities. If they haven't, they're going to, and so I recommend this one highly. Dinogenix here, Controlled Chaos, and a second printing. This is the expansion for Dinogenix, so I like Dinogenix fine. There's several Jurassic Park board games out there, well, including one called Jurassic Park, but the 2 that probably feel closest to Jurassic Park are Dinogenix and Dinosaur Island. So Dinogenix is a little more that way, although just like many of these games, you can pretty much stop dinosaurs from eating your people. So, which is fine, you know, you want that to happen, but that's kind of not the theme of the movie. Anyhow, this expansion added a whole bunch of unique dinosaurs and water dinosaurs, some wild mutations. I still think the game itself has a few problems. I like the game, but it's a game with a few flaws. Like you're kind of forced to build hotels almost as fast as you can to see more people to put out. But I do like a lot of the aspects of it, and I think this expansion, if you like the game, you're going to love the expansion. I think the expansion added only good stuff to this game. Exodus. Now this one did, I think, pretty well. Yeah, $170,000. This is a modular board. It's a cooperative style game. I gotta be honest, I have not played this one, and that is solely because I set up a good chunk of the game. I went through the rule book, and it was, to me, fairly incomprehensible about how to play the game, and it just wasn't selling it to me, so I pass it off to one of the other reviewers at the Dice Tower. So I can't really tell you much more about it. I haven't really seen it getting played much from people at various conventions and things, but maybe it has. I don't know. Well, I mean, I guess we can just... Okay, so we'll do Exodus here, and we'll take a look at the ratings on Board Game Geek, because maybe it's rated 3,108, which is not terrible, but not amazing either. So we'll take a look at the ratings thing. Well, they're mostly pretty high ratings, but a few low ones, but mostly pretty high. Okay. Well, maybe I just missed something completely then on it, but for me, it just didn't, there wasn't enough to drag me in. All right, here we have Crypt X. This is a game, I must have given this to someone else here at the Dice Tower, because there's a puzzle game, hours of content, interwoven story. Man, this looks really neat, but I definitely haven't messed with this. I must have passed this on to somebody else. Yeah. Oh, it looks cool. I'm still interested in this. I wonder what happened to this. Maybe Z did it. I'll have to go hunt it down. All right. Here we have Role Player, Fiends and Familiars expansion. This is the second expansion to Role Player, which also included a mega box, if I can remember correctly, that would hold everything in it. So the second expansion was actually pretty similar to the first one, except this one adds Familiars, which I like. I actually like the first expansion better. So the first one added dice that were no color, but had high numbers on them. This one adds dice that are 2 colors, but with lower numbers. My druther is have the higher numbers, but having both is also kind of cool too. And these split dice become very handy in the Role Player adventure game that came out later. But yeah, this is fine. This company does a great job. This big box, I like it. It easily holds the regular version plus both expansions, and that's what we have here in the Dice Tower Library. We have that, and we have just the base game, because Role Player is still very popular. Oh, look, they put my review. How nice of them. So yeah, this is a good one. Darwinauts. So this one I just reviewed as of me recording this a week or so ago. This is from Green Couch Games. And I didn't realize that this game was as large as it was from the box cover, because most of Green Couch Games are small little card games. This is a bigger one. And you know what? I got to give it to them. This game looks pretty much exactly like it shows here in the Kickstarter. I just found that it wasn't particularly engaging. I also guess I should have looked at this picture here that showed that the box was bigger. But go figure. I just guess I had it in my head. The game itself is a tile laying, resource collecting, turn in resource for points game. It's fine. The artwork from Vincent Dutrait's what sold me on it. I mean, look at all these cool little weird creatures he drew. That's cool. But there's just not a whole lot else to grab you in there. And these tiles here, I don't think they look particularly engaging when you put them all out on the table. Then we have Copenhagen Roll and Write. I really like Copenhagen from Queen Games. Not a big fan of the Roll and Write game. This is one of those times where when you play it, you're like, why are we doing this instead of just playing Copenhagen? Yes, it's portable, although it's not that small of a Roll and Write game. And you draw these little tiles on here, and you're putting a window in one, and that's fine, but it just felt messy compared to the original game. It wasn't bad, it just isn't amazing. And then I look at, like here, they're showing them next to each other. Ooh, let's play Copenhagen, one of the best welcoming games out there. Margraves of Valeria. Look, everything is done, according to this graphic here. Yes, Margraves is one of the bigger games from Top Mojo. No, Daily Magic. Daily Magic. This is a bigger one where you're moving one piece around on this board here. You can see the board. You're moving one piece around your Margrave and getting resources, doing different things. It's very much a Euro-style game, and I thought it worked pretty well. This one I think stands out a little bit amongst their card games, because I can never remember what any of their card games do. But if you say Kingdoms of Valeria, I'm like, Margraves, though, is the first time where I can just say Margraves, and you know what game I'm talking about, and I can remember how this one plays compared to the other ones. I know Mike DeLisio likes it even more than I do. And finally, for this particular video, we have Etherfields. This is a big one. This is one of the last Awakened Realms projects to show up on Kickstarter, since they're all in GameFound now. But Etherfields here, which, I mean, I was sold from this box. I still think, now the box looks way better in this picture than it does in person. It looks actually like there's a chunk out of the box, but look at all this stuff. So Etherfields is a game about going into dreams and dreamscapes and stuff. And as I prefer actually playing this game very solo, going through, it has a huge rules overhead. It has a little bit of a grinding factor, which they eventually released some official rules that said you can take it out, and it was out for me. But man, each dream that you go into is so weird and unique. It's interesting. There's a lot going on. It's a deck builder mixed with combat, mixed with, make the right choice or you're in trouble situations. It's a really neat game. It is definitely not for everybody, but I'm glad that I have it. I don't know if this Harpy campaign has come out yet. I don't remember that, but maybe it has. I'm still in the base game itself. But yeah, there's just a lot of stuff. Wow, there's a lot of campaigns for this game. That's what Awakened Realms does. They give you a truckload of content. So there you go. All right, those are 15 more Kickstarter projects. That's just kind of what I think about them. Which of these is your favorite? Let me know in the comments. Until next time, I'm Tom Vasel, and we've been taking a look through Kickstarter here on the Dice Tower.